The studio was buzzing, lights harsh and hot, sweat already forming on the backs of the hosts. Donald Trump leaned forward, his eyes sharp, voice dripping with contempt. "Ibrahim is a fake leader," he spat, as if the words alone could break the room's air. A sharp murmur ran through the audience, like a storm just forming. Ibrahim Traoré sat calm, his hands folded, a faint line of worry on his face. He had faced insults before, but this was live, watched by millions. He felt the weight of expectation pressing down, the tension in the room almost visible, like smoke curling from a candle. Trump smirked, leaning back. "Do you even know what real leadership looks like?" he sneered, eyes flicking to the cameras as if daring Ibrahim to respond. The audience tensed, some holding their breath, others exchanging nervous glances. Then, in the corner of the studio, someone stirred. A figure unexpected, Elon Musk, the tech mogul, known for his sharp tongue and sharper mind, stepped closer to the edge of the stage. The room seemed to shrink as he looked directly at Trump, his expression unreadable. And then, he spoke. Elon's voice was calm, almost gentle, but it carried through the studio like a hammer. Leadership isn't about insults or flashy words. It's about results, courage, and the lives you impact. Trump's confident smirk faltered for the briefest moment. The air smelled of tension, mingled with the faint metallic scent of the microphones. The audience leaned in, sensing something shifting, their own pulses quickening. Ibrahim's eyes didn't leave Elon. There was a spark, a tiny smile forming as hope flickered in his chest. Finally, someone had said it aloud, the truth, clear and undeniable. He felt his heart beat faster, a mix of relief and anticipation. Trump's voice rose again, sharper this time, defensive. "Results? I've delivered more than anyone." Elon cut him off with a single word. "No." It was soft but absolute, leaving the room suspended in a moment of disbelief. Cameras caught every flicker across Trump's face, annoyance, confusion, even a hint of fear. Ibrahim sat taller, breathing steady. The audience murmured, shocked at the power shift. Something monumental had just begun, and no one knew how it would end. The studio lights seemed too bright now, glaring against Trump's faltering composure. Elon stepped closer to the edge, the hum of the air conditioning mixing with the audience's tense breaths. He looked at Ibrahim and then back at Trump, each word deliberate. "Leadership isn't a title you claim," Elon said. "It's a path you walk. And right now, one of you is standing in the wrong place." A hush fell over the room. The faint scent of coffee from the side table became more noticeable, every creak of a chair amplified. Trump's face turned red, his hands tightening into fists. For the first time, the arrogance that had defined him seemed fragile. Ibrahim's chest rose and fell steadily. There was no need to argue. Elon's words carried the weight of undeniable truth, and for a moment, silence ruled. Then, a nervous cough echoed from the audience, breaking the stillness like a small crack in ice. Outside the studio, cameras broadcast the tension live. Millions watched, hearts racing, not knowing who would speak next. Ibrahim's calm resolve glimmered like a beacon in the storm, while Trump's fury simmered just below the surface. And then, a single question slipped into the charged air, unheard by many but destined to change everything. What happens when words can no longer protect a man? Trump's jaw clenched, the muscles in his neck twitching. His words faltered, searching for the usual ammunition, but the truth hung over him like a storm cloud. Ibrahim remained calm, eyes steady, a subtle strength radiating that silenced the murmurs around him. Elon leaned slightly forward, the hum of the cameras filling the silence. "You can't bully courage," he said, voice low but firm. The words landed like a punch. The audience gasped, some leaning forward, others pressing hands to their mouths in shock. Ibrahim felt a rush of emotion. Fear, yes, but also hope. The weight of so many eyes, so many expectations pressed down on him. Yet he stood firm. He could feel the heat of the studio lights on his skin, the faint scratch of his jacket against his arm, grounding him. Trump's usual theatrics didn't work. He waved his hands, tried to interrupt, but Elon's gaze pinned him in place. Every word Trump attempted sounded hollow. Even the cameras seemed to shift focus, capturing the rare vulnerability on a man used to commanding the world. Then, without warning, Elon's words took another sharp turn. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned, and you, sir, have lost it. The silence was deafening. A bead of sweat slid down Trump's temple. The studio lights reflected in his eyes, making them glint with something unfamiliar: panic. The audience was frozen, hanging on the invisible thread that connected the three of them. Ibrahim's heartbeat was steady, but adrenaline surged. He could almost hear his own blood rushing. He felt the faint scent of leather from the chairs, the subtle hum of electricity from the equipment, everything sharpening his focus. Trump's face twitched. Fake news, fake leader. He stopped, realizing that the words sounded hollow even to himself. The audience sensed the shift. Whispers rippled like waves across the crowd. Elon leaned back slightly, the tiniest smirk forming on his lips. "Words without action are empty," he said, "and history remembers actions, not insults." Ibrahim exhaled quietly, a surge of courage rising within him. He realized something. The narrative was no longer his to defend. The truth had already spoken. Trump's hands flailed slightly, but no one seemed to hear him. The tension in the air thickened, palpable, like the first drops of rain before a storm. And then a camera caught something. Trump's eyes, wide and unblinking, as if he suddenly understood the depth of what he had lost. The room was electric. Every movement seemed magnified. The subtle twitch of a finger, the intake of a breath. The audience held its collective breath. Ibrahim's eyes met Elon's. In that instant, an unspoken understanding passed between them. Courage wasn't loud. It was quiet, firm, and impossible to ignore. Trump opened his mouth, but the words came out strangled, clipped. The words that usually commanded millions now faltered in the face of undeniable truth. He shifted in his chair, the sound sharp in the tense air, like a twig snapping in a forest. Elon's gaze never wavered. "Leadership is about vision, responsibility, and respect," he continued, voice calm but firm. "And some lessons must be learned the hard way." Ibrahim's chest rose and fell steadily. A faint scent of cologne mixed with the metallic tang of sweat, making the moment feel vivid and real. Suddenly, Trump slammed his hand on the table, a hollow gesture that echoed through the studio. The room went silent again. Everyone felt the tension spike. This confrontation was far from over. And in that silence, the audience saw it. A flicker of doubt in Trump's eyes. For the first time, the illusion of control was gone, leaving everyone wondering, what happens when the powerful realize they are powerless? Trump's hand shook slightly as he leaned back, trying to regain control. The studio felt smaller, the air heavier, every flash of the cameras like lightning striking too close. His usual bravado faltered, replaced by an unusual unease. Ibrahim sat upright, calm, almost serene. His heartbeat was steady, but his senses were alive. He could hear the faint rustle of papers, smell the lingering coffee, even feel the subtle vibration of the studio floor under the weight of cameras and audience. Elon took a deliberate step forward, voice calm, but carrying undeniable weight. "You can call names, spread doubt, and yell, but it won't change reality. Truth isn't afraid of noise." A soft gasp ran through the audience. Trump's face hardened, a flicker of frustration crossing his features. He opened his mouth again, but the words felt forced, hollow. Even his supporters seemed unsure, tension rippling through the room like a taut wire. Ibrahim felt a surge of quiet pride. For once, he didn't have to defend himself with words. His strength, his integrity, was enough. The camera captured it all, a man unshaken amidst chaos, and a man who had lost his grip. Then, unexpectedly, Elon paused, glanced toward the window at the city lights beyond the studio. A small, knowing smirk flickered. Something was coming, something no one had predicted. Trump's voice trembled slightly now, a rare vulnerability showing. "You don't understand." Elon cut him off, calm but piercing. "No, it's you who doesn't understand. Leadership is measured in courage, not arrogance." Ibrahim felt an almost electric surge in the room. The faint hum of the equipment, the soft tap of a foot in the crowd, even the distant city sounds outside. The studio seemed hyper-real, every tiny detail magnifying the tension. Trump slammed his hand on the desk again, a gesture meant to intimidate, but it landed flat, empty. His fury was still there, but it no longer commanded attention. It flickered like a dying flame. Ibrahim shifted slightly, a subtle gesture that didn't go unnoticed. His calmness radiated, a quiet defiance that contrasted sharply with the volatile energy of Trump. The audience leaned forward, collectively holding its breath, sensing a turning point. Then Elon spoke again, softer this time, almost a whisper. "And the truth? It doesn't need your permission to be seen." A murmur of awe swept through the crowd. Trump's eyes darted nervously, the cracks in his facade widening. The question lingered. Can someone who cannot see the truth ever lead again? The tension in the studio was suffocating. Every click of a camera, every shuffle of papers sounded like a countdown. The audience's eyes were fixed, breaths shallow, hearts racing. Ibrahim's pulse was steady, but inside a storm of emotions churned. Relief, anticipation, hope. He could feel the faint scratch of his jacket against his arm, grounding him, reminding him to stay composed. Trump's face was red, sweat forming at his temples. His usual charm and confidence seemed distant, replaced by desperation. He tried a forced joke, but it fell flat, leaving an awkward silence that hung heavy. Elon's gaze swept across the room, landing briefly on the camera, then back to Trump. "You can shout, you can rage, but courage doesn't need to prove itself to bullies." Ibrahim's eyes glimmered. He could almost feel the weight of millions of viewers, their hopes and expectations pressing gently but firmly against his resolve. And then, a subtle shift. The studio doors rattled as if pushed by a sudden gust, the faint smell of rain seeping in. The room collectively flinched, sensing that something unpredictable was about to happen. Trump's eyes widened, a silent question forming on his lips. What if everything I built on words could crumble in a single moment? The faint scent of rain grew stronger, seeping through the studio's vents. Trump's hands trembled slightly as he gripped the edge of the desk. Every tick of the clock sounded like a drumbeat counting down his unraveling. Ibrahim's eyes were calm, steady. He could feel the faint hum of electricity from the cameras beneath his feet, the subtle brush of his sleeve against his wrist. Small details, but they kept him grounded amidst chaos. Elon's voice cut through the tension, soft, yet unyielding. Power isn't shown in insults. It's shown in what you protect, in the people you lift up. Trump's smirk faltered. For the first time, he seemed genuinely unsure. The audience noticed it too. Whispers rippled like a breeze through the studio, their curiosity sharp, hearts pounding. Ibrahim's lips curved into the smallest, almost imperceptible smile. The weight of expectation had been immense, yet now a spark of relief flared. He didn't have to fight with words. Truth was his ally. Then, unexpectedly, Elon paused, glanced at the large monitor displaying live audience reactions. and whispered almost to himself, "Some lessons hit harder than storms." A cold shiver ran down Trump's spine, unnoticed by most, but Ibrahim felt it, like the first drop of rain before a storm that changes everything. Trump's voice cracked, an unfamiliar edge of desperation cutting through the room. "You don't get it, Elon raised a hand, stopping him with the quiet authority of someone who needed no argument. "No, you've lost this moment. Leadership isn't yours to claim by force." Ibrahim felt the tiniest rush of adrenaline. The studio seemed sharper now, the soft scrape of a chair, the faint buzz of cameras, even the subtle metallic scent of the microphones. Everything was heightened, every detail magnifying the tension. Trump leaned back, eyes darting nervously, searching for an escape that wasn't there. The audience could sense the shift. The man who had dominated every room was faltering under the weight of truth. Ibrahim remained poised, steady, even as emotions surged inside him. Pride, relief, fear, and hope, all tangled together. He inhaled deeply, letting the reality of the moment sink in. Then Elon added a line that pierced the room like lightning. "History remembers actions, not the volume of your voice. And some truths cannot be silenced." Trump's jaw tightened. A shadow of doubt crossed his eyes, and for the first time he realized that words alone couldn't save him from the unraveling. The studio felt almost unreal, the tension so thick it was like smoke curling through the air. Trump's usual bravado had melted into something fragile, human, uncertain. Ibrahim's calmness radiated like a lighthouse, steady amidst the storm. He could feel the faint vibration of the floor from the cameras, hear the subtle rustle of the audience, even the hint of rain against the studio windows. Elon leaned forward, gaze fixed, voice low, but cutting through the chaos. "Courage isn't loud. It's consistent, and integrity cannot be faked." Trump's face twitched, the tiniest flicker of fear crossing his eyes. The audience leaned forward, caught between disbelief and awe. Even the most skeptical seemed to sense that something monumental had shifted. Ibrahim's chest rose and fell steadily, emotions tight but controlled. Pride, relief, and hope mingled in his veins. The room seemed to hold its breath. Then, a sudden, unexpected sound, the soft click of a phone recording from the audience, echoed through the tension, a reminder that every moment was being captured, immortalized. Trump froze. Every eye in the room was on him, waiting for a reaction that could change everything. And in that silence, one thought burned in everyone's mind. What happens when arrogance finally meets undeniable truth? Trump's hands trembled on the desk, knuckles white, as he struggled to find words that carried weight. But the room felt heavier now, every eye on him unblinking, every camera capturing his faltering confidence. Ibrahim's calm gaze never wavered. He could sense the audience holding their breath, hearts pounding in rhythm with the tension that filled the studio. His own heartbeat was steady, a quiet drum of courage. Elon leaned slightly forward, voice sharp but controlled. "Leadership isn't about claiming it. It's about proving it through action, and actions speak louder than noise." A ripple of murmurs ran through the audience. Trump's usual swagger was gone, replaced by something raw and vulnerable, a rare glimpse of a man confronted with the truth. Ibrahim felt a surge of hope. For the first time, he realized that silence and integrity could be more powerful than any retort. Every camera, every light, every breath in the room seemed to focus on him. Then, unexpectedly, a sharp noise, a chair scraping the floor, made everyone flinch. The tension spiked. In that moment, Trump's eyes widened, a flicker of fear crossing his face. Something had shifted and no one knew exactly what would come next. The studio air felt electric, charged with anticipation. Trump's voice rose in desperation, trying to regain control. I've built more than anyone. Elon's calm, steady gaze cut through him. You can build all you want, but courage isn't built in speeches. It's built in integrity and resilience. Ibrahim inhaled slowly, letting Elon's words settle over the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. The faint smell of rain outside the studio mingled with the subtle metallic tang from the microphones, grounding him in the moment. Trump's smirk had vanished, replaced by tension and doubt. His eyes darted around, searching for allies, for a lifeline, but the audience had shifted. They were no longer captivated by the man's theatrics. A quiet whisper of admiration swept through the crowd. Everyone could feel the shift. The man who had once commanded attention now seemed small, almost insignificant compared to the calm, steady presence of Ibrahim. Then Elon stepped slightly closer, almost conspiratorial, and added, "Sometimes the loudest voices hide the weakest hearts." Trump's face paled, a shadow crossing his features. The audience leaned in, captivated, and for the first time, it seemed that victory wasn't in words. It was in the truth that now dominated the room. Trump's hands fumbled at his papers, voice shaking as he tried to regain control. "You don't know what you're..." Ibrahim's calm eyes met his, steady and unwavering. The room seemed to shrink around them, the weight of expectation pressing down like a physical force. He could feel the faint vibration of the floor, hear the quiet shuffle of the audience, and smell the faint coffee lingering in the air. Elon's voice, calm but unstoppable, cut through the tension. "Power isn't demanded, it's earned, and you, sir, have lost it in front of the world." Trump's smirk had completely vanished. His confidence was gone, replaced by the stark realization that words alone could no longer shield him. The audience was silent, collectively holding its breath. Every flash of the cameras captured the drama, immortalizing the moment for millions watching live. Ibrahim's chest rose and fell steadily, a quiet strength emanating from him. And then a subtle flicker in Trump's eyes, a mix of anger and fear, hinted at a looming, unpredictable twist. The room waited, every heart pounding, for the storm that was about to erupt. Trump's hands trembled on the desk, sweat forming at his temples. His usual bravado had vanished, replaced by something raw. Fear, anger, and disbelief all tangled together. The audience leaned forward, breaths shallow, sensing that the final moments of this confrontation had arrived. Ibrahim remained calm, a pillar amidst the storm. His heartbeat was steady, and yet a spark of emotion flickered in his eyes, a mix of hope and quiet triumph. Every subtle sound in the studio, the faint hum of the cameras, the scratch of a chair, even the soft patter of rain against the windows, felt magnified, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Elon's gaze pierced through the tension. Leadership is measured not by how loud you can shout, but by how steadfastly you stand when the world watches. Trump's voice cracked. I'm the greatest. No, Elon interrupted, calm but absolute. Greatness is proven by integrity, courage, and truth. And right now, the truth stands here. He gestured subtly toward Ibrahim. The audience erupted in silent awe. Every eye saw it. Trump had lost, not to words, but to the undeniable strength of character and courage standing quietly before him. Trump's face reddened, his eyes darting, searching for some lifeline, some escape. But there was none. Every camera, every microphone, every eye was fixed on him, and on the man he had tried to belittle. Ibrahim exhaled quietly, the weight of the moment pressing down yet filling him with a strange, uplifting clarity. He had faced the storm, stood his ground, and remained unshaken. His courage radiated through the room, invisible yet undeniable, touching everyone present. Elon stepped back slightly, the faintest smile crossing his face. Sometimes the loudest voices are the most fragile. he said, almost softly. Trump opened his mouth again, but no words came. The audience could sense the collapse of his performance, the unraveling of a man who had relied on spectacle over substance. Ibrahim's calm gaze swept the room, meeting the eyes of everyone in the audience and beyond the cameras, the millions watching live. He had won, not with aggression, but with steadfast truth, courage, and quiet strength. And just as the lights flickered, the studio seemed to hold its breath. A final unspoken question hung in the air. Could anyone rise above this moment with such integrity ever again? The storm outside mirrored the tension inside, rain lashing the windows as if nature itself understood the weight of the moment. Trump slumped slightly, the final trace of arrogance gone, leaving only exhaustion and disbelief. Ibrahim rose subtly, his chest calm, his presence a beacon of quiet strength. Every detail of the room, the soft buzz of cameras, the distant hum of traffic, the smell of rain and coffee, seemed alive, pressing the moment into memory. Elon's voice cut gently through the tension. Courage is quiet. Integrity is louder than any insult. And today, the world saw it clearly. A murmur of awe ran through the audience. Tears glimmered in some eyes. Others clenched fists in quiet respect. The story wasn't just about confrontation. It was about resilience, honor, and truth prevailing against noise and arrogance. Ibrahim's gaze met the cameras one last time. His quiet smile said everything words could not. Strength doesn't need to shout. It stands, it endures, it wins. The studio lights dimmed slightly, the storm outside easing, leaving a sense of closure and triumph. And for everyone watching, the lesson was clear. Courage and integrity can silence even the loudest voices. If you felt this moment, hit like, leave a comment sharing how it moved you, and subscribe to witness more stories where truth and courage shine, no matter the odds.